Hello everyone and welcome to another live expert interview. My name is Lucy Challenger and I'm the CEO of Polo Tweed, and I am joined today by a lovely colleague of mine, Sam. Hello Sam, how are you?
Hi Lucy, very well, thank you. Yeah, good.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, I'm going to hand over straight away to Sam for him to announce and sort of to explain to everyone listening and watching his background, why he works with us, and what makes Sam so unique. Sam, over to you.
Thank you. Well, I'm Sam. I've been in private service for about 20 years now. I've worked as a butler. I've worked for sort of European royalty, Duke and Duchesses, businessmen. I've worked all over the world. So I've started working with Polo Tweed for about 6 months now. We've done some training. I've been working out about 2 years ago. We took a gap year with my family. We sort of took a year out, travelled around Europe, and then since we've been back, I've kind of moved more into the training side of things. So that's where I am at the moment.
Fabulous. So obviously you mentioned the word butler. So for people listening, how did you really enter that world of becoming a butler? Because it's not a career that most people suddenly wake up one day and think, oh, I'm going to be a butler today. So to tell us about your journey from, not being a butler to becoming a butler, and why you picked working in domestic service as opposed to, say, commercial hotels.
I started in hotels. I started in 5-star hotels. I did sort of catering college, and then was a training manager at a 5-star hotel in Brighton. And then I sort of I was there for about 2 years, and then progressed to sort of room service manager. And then did sort of backpacking year when I was in my 20s. Then got back. I knew I didn't want to go back into hotels as such. And then sort of looking at different things, and then I saw a job for a corporate butler for a businessman he never had a butler before, and I'd never been a butler before, so it was quite a nice fit. So I had those sort of skills of private service, that type of thing, and he was kind of looking for someone he could mould as well, so it was quite a nice fit to start with. So yeah, I was quite lucky in that sense to make that move. I knew I didn't want to I always got sort of enjoyment from looking after people one-on-one. I've worked with colleagues who do these big conferences for like 1,000 people, and that's how they get the sort of really enjoyment, but that never really sort of appealed to me. I'm much more sort of like room service, where you can look after someone one-on-one, and I like the fact that you can kind of build up a rapport with someone, whereas you have guests come in for the weekend and then they're gone again, so you don't get to build up any rapport with them. So I like that sort of, so you can start anticipating people's needs when you kind of get to know people and you spend a lot of time with them. So yeah, I think that's kind of how I moved from sort of hospitality into private service, and then from there I was with him for 5 years, and then I moved to different places after that. So.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, that's it. That's how you sort of identify quite clearly how the difference is in hotels and commercial butlering, where, like you say, you're dealing with different guests as they come and go from the hotel, or the office, or some banks in London have butlers, as opposed to working for a principal, where you get to really hone your understanding of what they love, what they enjoy, so that you can create this really special experience for them, which is what a butler is meant to do. So you've obviously traveled the world. I know you've had some amazing experiences with your principals and in your job, but for people tuning in, is being a butler just glitz and glamour and Rolls Royces and private jets? Is there another side to the life as a butler?
There is long working days. Sort of when I worked in in London, just off the King's Road, and I think my day would start about 6:30, and would I would be up, open the house up, prepare breakfast, and then I was up until the family went to bed. So if they had a dinner party till 3 o'clock in the morning, you have to stay up till 4 o'clock to make sure you clear up and lock the house up, and then back again up the next day to cook breakfast and take the children to school. So yeah, so I think a lot of the time you kind of see this sort of glitz and glam. I might be driving a Rolls Royce, but I might have been up since 5 o'clock in the morning to do that. But yeah, no, it's yes, there are the nice sides of things and nice working environments. I've worked in some of the most beautiful homes in the world. Worked with his Rembrandt paintings on the wall, and you get to look at those every morning, or Picasso painting, so you get to see that. That's my working environment that you get to see every day. But it is hard work. So a bit of both.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it? With great responsibility, what's the quote from Spider-Man? With great responsibility comes great power. Oh my gosh, I've totally misquoted the movie, but it's because I'm not in the movie world, I'm in the butler world. But you get given a good salary, you get to travel the world, but equally you have to work hard, you have to do long hours, and so there is the glitz and the glamour, but there is also, like any job, hard work. You've got to be committed. So if someone's listening to this and thinking, okay, I fancy being a butler, where do I start? Where do I go? What do I do? What would be your 3 top tips for someone wanting to enter the butler world?
So I'd kind of what the best way is, why do you want, first of all, sort of ask yourself, what is it about being a butler that, that appeals to you? So have a look and think, kind of, why do I want to be a butler? Sort of list those sort of things, I would say to you. And then I sort of, look at your sort of personal traits that people have and say, I think, as a butler, you've got to have an eye for details. So is that type of person you are? Have you got those, are you notice the little things, you're going to be able to make sure the thing, because ultimately, it's a butler's job to make sure everything is perfect around the home, so, you've got to have those sort of eye for details. Are you willing to go above and beyond, so, it doesn't matter if you've worked a 15-hour day, you're just about to go home, the principal says, oh no, sorry, we're having a dinner party tonight, then you're the type of person that's going to be able to go, okay, no problem, and then and be happy to serve that. Or are you going to be the type of person who goes, no, I've got to go home, I've done my sort of 12 hours, or what it is. So those are the types of questions you've got to ask yourself. There's no such word as can't in private service, as a butler, so if someone said, the type of person that think, right, okay, we want, whatever it might be, an elephant for Matilda's 5th birthday in the garden, you're going to say, right, okay, no problem, I can do that. Not, oh, well, I don't know how, so you've got to be able to sort of, to go above and beyond and say, right, no. So these are the types of things you've got to kind of ask yourself, really, so that, I think as well, a lot of people kind of think as a butler as being the centre of attention, you can, oh, well, I could be, but actually a butler's got to be very much kind of take a back step, so you've got to be in the room. They say a room should be more empty with a butler inside it. So you're the type of person that kind of is happy to take that sort of back seat, and let the hostess take all the credit for a dinner party that you've done all the work for, but she sort of takes all the credit for it, or whatever it might be. So you're the type of person that's able to sort of, and can you bite your bottom lip as well? There's lots of time you've got to be able to bite your tongue and say, oh no, okay, when someone, you might, because you see people at their best and the worst in private services, but where you all have bad days, in the morning where, get up and you haven't had a coffee yet, and kind of, it's people's homes as well. So you've got to be able to, you see people at their best and the worst. So
yeah, absolutely. So obviously those are the attributes that it takes to make up a good butler. But if someone had no experience of being a butler, would they go to a hotel? Would they do training? What are the ways of entering the butler world as a profession?
So I would definitely recommend some training. I think we'll talk about it a bit later on, but I think, if you've not had any experience at all, maybe try and get some experience in maybe like the best hotel you can find or the best restaurant you can find, just to get a feeling for it a little bit, that sort of top end level of service that people, and it's difficult at the moment, but, if the 5-star hotel is a good starting point to kind of just, that be in that environment, interact with sort of wealthy people as well. And, that'll give you a little feel about, if it is, the type of job that you want to do as well, I think.
No, that's absolutely key. And I think, you've touched already on training aspects, and, the butler must understand silver service, for example, must understand housekeeping, must understand house management if they're working in a private home. And of course, you yourself know this because you now train for us, you teach many of our students, you helped us develop our e-learning platform. And, what brought you to training? Why do you enjoy teaching and sharing this amazing knowledge you have with other people?
I think it's nice to be able to, like I said, I've worked in private service for 20 years, and it can be quite a solitary role as well. You're working with team members, but a lot of the time it's just you're doing what you do. You don't get to pass on those skills, and there's, it's nice to meet other people that work in private service. I think we did a course a little while ago, and I was talking to someone and we worked for the same person. We didn't realize we were talking about a situation, then we suddenly dawned on us that we'd worked for the same person. So, it's nice to be able to pass on those skills as well. And it's nice to see people grow as well. We did what, you've done courses with people who are, come in and say, oh, they're housekeepers and they want to learn to be a house manager. And then, at the beginning, they're sort of very, they're sort of very shy to begin with. And then by the end of the course, they're kind of, full of confidence and ready to go out. And actually, when you do speak to people, you find a lot of the time they're doing a lot of the jobs that, the aspects of a house manager anyway. They say, oh, I'm just a housekeeper. And then you say, oh, but I arrange that, I do all the bills and I do this and I do that. And you say, well, actually, you are a house manager. You just, haven't got that title. So it's nice to be able to sort of see people grow as, you know, as they do the courses as well.
Yeah, no, and I find that really special to see, you know, the empowering confidence that grows within people that do training. I mean, that's why I wanted my company to do it in the first place, was to give the power to people, because, you know, we have the recruitment, we can place people in jobs, which is fabulous, of course, but there's something quite special about learning, and even if you're just doing it for pleasure or for fun, you know, to develop your own mindset and confidence with something, it can just be so fulfilling in life to have that aspect. But, you know, we're talking quite seriously about training at the moment, just to sort of have a bit of a light-hearted moment. Now, you've traveled obviously around the world, you've worked for celebrities, royalty, etc., within mind that the butler must always be discreet. Is there any funny or unusual stories you could perhaps share with the people that have tuned in?
Yes, well, it's not obviously I can't tell you, but there was once we had a very high-profile Hollywood A-list actor come to a dinner party, and it was quite a large dinner party, so we had lots of agency staff. So because they were agency staff and I've not worked with them before, I was very, you know, very firm with them. I said, I don't want anyone speaking to him. I don't want anyone approaching him. You've got to leave him alone. He's here as a guest. He's got, you know, a friend of the family. You know, you mustn't speak to him at all. I don't want anyone to bother him. And it was only sort of halfway through the starter that I realised that they'd taken me quite literally, and no one had gone near him, no one had offered him a drink or even given him a starter. So it was probably my fault for being too stern, but I was kind of, you know, I suddenly realised that everyone had kind of not even gone anywhere near him. They were scared of me to go near and talk to him.
Oh gosh, he would have got a complex and thought, do I smell? Is there a reason why the staff are avoiding me entirely? Oh my gosh. So, you know, jumping back on to the training side of things, you know, if someone wants to work in domestic service, you know, we've talked about housekeeping, house management, butler, you know, estate managers, even domestic couple, chauffeurs, the list goes on. You know, what does training do for them? What do you think it helps them with?
Like I said, of confidence, obviously, I think it helps them. And I think the way the e-training is set up, it really helps them kind of to pinpoint, you know, the areas that they don't have those skills, you know. So, I mean, I did training with a guy a couple of weeks ago who had a great silver service experience, but wanted sort of that house management experience, you know, and he was able to sort of focus in on that. He didn't need to do any silver service training because he had all that, you know, from where he'd worked, but he just needed kind of house management. So be able to sort of pick the areas that you need that sort of training. And as I say, you know, some people go in and have, you know, housekeeping might be a weak point for someone, and they can sort of, okay, well, I've got no knowledge of housekeeping, and then it can really sort of focus them and go, okay, well, I feel a confidence now to be able to say, you know, I've got that experience, or, you know, I've got that training.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's really interesting about the development of the training over the years, you know, we've obviously run online training for years, private training, group training, and in the most recent months since the lockdown happened in the UK, we were able to get, you know, the e-learning platform fully launched. And I think what's really interesting is the different types of people that come to train with us. So, you know, you would sort of from an outside perspective think, oh, it's just going to be the staff, it's just going to be the people working in these houses wanting to get better at their jobs. But actually, we've had so many principals say, I don't know how to do the laundry, or I don't know how to do a hospital corner on a flat sheet, or, you know, what's the best way to get a stain out of silk, or, you know, oh golly gosh, I'm going to have my mother-in-law around. I'd really like to learn how to open a bottle of wine the correct way. And I find that quite interesting, that there really isn't a face of who should do the training. You know, it could be that you just want to run your own household in the right way, or you're throwing a dinner party and you want to wow your guests with how you decant the wine and how you present, etc. And I found that really exciting, you know, how broadly it can reach people.
No, definitely. Yeah, I think it's nice that, you know, like you say, people who kind of just think, oh, I've always, you know, had an interest in that side of things, and, you know, to go and just learn, you know, it's great to learn, you know, different skills anyway, you know, to have, like you say, you know, the dinner party skills, and to do it properly, the correct way, you know, and be able to say, okay, right, this is the way I want it done, and this is, you know, and then put a label on it, or be able to tell your staff, okay, well, this is how I want it done, and this is why, or, you know, because some people kind of, they know how they want it done, but they don't know how to describe it necessarily. So yeah, no, it's always nice to know
absolutely. And I also think that, you know, coming back to sort of the domestic staff side of things, or even hotel staff wanting to develop, you know, concierge or silver service training, we see a knock-on sort of parallel impact with training and skills with career and salary progression, you know. And in a commercial world, the more letters you have after your name, the more likely you're going to be respected in your industry, and the higher salary you can command. And equally in our industry, with the domestic service industry, or you know, the hospitality industry in general, the more skills you have under your belt, the more hireable you become, the more desirable you become, and stand out from the competition, and the more you can support that family, the individual, or the, you know, the hotel, or whoever you work for, because you have so many additional skills to your belt.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think there's lots of jobs out there now. You know, you see a job advert where you probably have principals come to you and they'll say, "Oh, we you know, we need a butler, but they must be able to, you know, must be able to clean, drive, cook, look after the children." You know, they'll give you a list of 10 roles, or they want to try and get one person. You know, which is fine if that's what people want. But yeah, having those extra skills, you know, and those sort of top jobs that you see, you go, wow, you know, that you see the salary sort of headline, you know, you kind of think they do want kind of everything. They want to be able to, you know, to be able to sort of do a little bit of everything, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We had one client asking us for a butler who was also a yoga instructor, because they were a keen yoga enthusiast, and they wanted to be able to do yoga every day. So what better than your butler to be able to say, well, actually, you know, we're booked to do, you know, it's like hiring a personal trainer, right? But with the butler element. So, you know, the more candidates and domestic workers have these additional skills, you know, be it a beauty therapist or a masseuse or a nutritionist, you know, these are all things that really enhance their careers.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
and like you say, if it's something that you've got an interest in as well, it helps a lot that, you know, you've got to, you know, the people almost want lifestyle managers now, don't they?
No, exactly. Well, I mean, as always, it's always been a pleasure to speak to you, Sam, and I really enjoy hearing your stories about your career, and obviously we work together all the time with the training that we do. So for people listening in who might like to meet Sam, or get Sam's support in training, or indeed any butlering, of course they can reach out to us at poloandtweed.com, and we can connect you with Sam. But Sam, thank you so much once again for joining me. It's been a pleasure to see you, and thank you once again.
No, thanks a lot. It's been really good to speak to you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.